Roger. Thank you. In fighter jets, they have either lasers, which are now being introduced, or the warheads, missiles that explode with high impact. Whereas the laser, it's a stream concentrated that projects heat until it either fails or explodes what it's on. A dogfight in the air combat before you can fire a missile at someone to deter an arc radar. The arc radar is what you get locked in on before you can fire a missile at someone, so that it can be like a heat-sinking missile. Aluminum foil strips that they just expel out into the air, and it throws off the enemy. They used to just have chaff that was aluminum foil strips that are shot out, or you would fire off a flare. But with the laser, supposedly that would be a better way of doing that. But once again, the laser has a second advance where it is used to heat up things and explode them. But a laser, it loses its energy the more that it's streamed outwards, because it's going at the speed of light. However, if there's like water particles up in the air or smoke particles, it can deter it from being as strong. And so the further out it is, the weaker it is. Even though it's moving at the speed of light, it could just go off the engine of the aircraft. And this is how you would have like infinite amount of shots, because of the energy that's what electric energy is. The fighter jets are releasing the chaff into the air. They don't collect the chaff after they're done. The police, they collect their spike strips. When the car runs over it, they collect that, but the fighter jets don't, as well as shooting up space trash with the spaceships when they go up to fix their satellites, because there's a bunch of satellites up there that get fixed regularly. They have all the space trash, like nuts and bolts, that are orbiting Earth. And that's a really big issue if you don't know how much space trash is orbiting Earth. So it's got the ocean ridge trash, and it's got the trash above the Earth. And I imagine with the radiation in between, you've got yourself a perfect charge station to absorb out resources of anything what you would like. High binary code. Let's find it. And when the immovable object meets the unstoppable force, what happens? Well, you start seeing the bee populations plummet. A third of the species died out from the 90s till now. 1,000 started, and now it's a third of 1,000 are left. You start seeing the increase of gnats everywhere. The gnats, of course, like radiation, like viral activity is supercharged by radiation. It basically kills life, and the thing that thrives off life being killed are gnats and all the ugly bugs. The pollution gets more toxin. It gets more toxic, and the ocean sea ridge, it acts more of sludge as it starts dissolving when China throws all the trash into the ocean, as well as India. So that's getting supercharged on the ocean ridge, killing all the coral and putting bacteria throughout the ocean, which the Titanic is going to be gone in a few years because it's getting ate by bacteria at this very moment in time. So light can be emitted or absorbed. And so when you've got your laser gun and your pew pew, that is emitting outside of a light being emitted outside of the fighter jet. When it is being absorbed, that is inevitable. Anything you look at your corona in your eyeball is absorbing the photons bouncing off of it into your eyeball is how you see. This is a phenomenon of wave particle diffraction. One thing that millionaires and billionaires with the globalists are doing is using the entire earth as the vessel of a bottle. You know, the bottle could have been a fighter jet, the bottle can be a robot, but the bottle, the world is your oyster, quite literally. What they're doing with all these satellites being sent up into outer space, what they're doing with all the 5G towers, all the data centers that are going up, they're all interconnected. They're expunging the earth, they're emitting, they're absorbing the earth, all the light in it, out of it to get infinite resources, even though there isn't infinite resources. Looking at high rates and speed, it can cover anything. And this is what is so close to the heart of nature, because nature is, of course, with particles, matter. Every particle is diffracting when you look at it, so then it becomes the wave as well. The wave particle interaction is everywhere all the time, and that's how time is in a continuum. You're mentioning the mental and the physical. That's a prelude to the particle and wave. You're asking, well, how can you find the difference of the two and make that even better? You start to focus on how an AI is put into a side of a robot. With the bug, a lot of them all look the same because they have the outer shell. Kind of like on an atom has an electronic orbit shell. It has different types of shells, but just as the bug can have different type of outer layer as well, but they all indicate quite the same thing, where you would see a flagella might have cilia. And so with the bug, it goes on to your, imagine my body as a cell wall. It would latch onto it and then start spinning. And when it starts moving with the kinematic that it hit it with, you know, the path of least resistance, the little cilia stick onto the cell wall until it gets twisted and tightened until the cell wall breaks. Okay. And when the cell wall breaks, then the bug goes into the cell, into this broken cell, and then the cell at that point is pretty much toast. And that's what a venomous cell is when the bug enters it. And with the bug, what I was talking about earlier, how it has like 3 different things on it. A chimera has 3 heads. Well, this is just like a fighter jet. You could see them as sensors. They have what below them? Sensor pods, missiles, or bombs. A laser's being put onto it. And it's like called the death ray. And so what they would have to take off one of those 3 things in order to put the laser on. And when they do that, they're sacrificing the stealth. The stealth, apparently the laser would be bulky, so it would no longer be able to have a stealthy radar signature. That would be broke. So ostensibly, I guess fighter jets, if they're going for stealth, they have these like these codes of the radar signature that allows for the frequencies of it jet streaming being shot across the sky, where it is hidden with the signature it puts out. The laser being too bulky would eliminate that. This is, you've seen the commercials where you can have like this little button and you press it and it puts out this frequency where it makes mosquitoes go away. That's essentially what these the stealthy radar signatures being broke. That's what it's not able to have anymore with the lasers. So when you're looking back at this bug, it's a chimera. It's got 3 different things on it. You can look at those 3 different things as the sensor pod, the missile, and the bomb, and it has the laser being changed. And this is what the gain of function on the Chimera has. You know how it has the influenza, that's what it's always attached to, because it is attached to the common cold, except it has sewn into it the thing that bites out your taste buds, your ability to taste when you get the bug. So that would be like one thing on the fighter jet. It would be like a missile. We'd call the taste going out a missile. The ability for it to replicate, this would be like a different thing. We'll say it would be the sensor pod on the fighter jet. And then the third thing it has is actually, this one's kind of controversial, so I'm not going to be saying it. Data encryption sequence code of a transmitted disease. So it's got all three of those, bing, 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 as just one particle of the bug. One bug is a particle, so it has three things on it. Just as the fighter jet has the sensor pods, the missiles, or the bombs, and it's taking that out to be replaced with a laser. So the bug Chimera, if it wanted to switch something out to get like a laser, what would it do? It would be probably getting a gain of function for a new thing, maybe an increased percentage of the death rate. Whereas this bug had a death rate where if you catch the bug, the death rate is under 1%. Gain of function, if it wanted to tack on a missile, if the bug is growing bigger, or it just gets another thing swapped onto it. Because I think it can only have three things, or else it loses its ability to have the stealthy radar signature being broke, meaning it won't be able to replicate itself. Like it'll be having to sacrifice one of the missiles or the sensor pod or the bomb. So in order for the death rate to be brought up, it's gonna have to be switching out one of its abilities, such as it can't be the influenza, or it can't be the losing people's taste, or it can't be the ability to replicate. And so the reason why it probably could only have three things, as the Chimera only has three heads, is because it would lose its symmetry, and that would mean that it wouldn't be able to once again be a stealthy radar signature being broken, meaning it won't be able to stay intact as it is hit through a cell wall. It wouldn't be strong enough to maintain its three abilities and do a breaking of the cell wall at the same time. So however you may fashion it, it's subjectively the exterior, which we're explaining as polygon pushed outwards is a circle, and then the interior can be faceted as that if triangulation. Take a DNA strand and you cut it as it splits to replicate. Once it gets in your cell, that's what it does. It uses its circle to wrap over your cell and apply pressure until your cell wall breaks, and then the strands within the circle go into the cell and split, and that is where it is able to copy itself. And triangulation is a great word because it has to do with fractal geometry. And so when you get the spiral, which is essentially a wave function, the wave function is at 90 degrees in a off center each and every other, so that if it was the wave function a material, the DNA spiral is the material it would be performed as, and when it's splitting, it's the wave would be collapsing. And so that would be the replication of those the center different color patterns, as that person had the pattern of the colors symmetric to the center, which is where the strand is before it splits. So that was actually a pretty astonishing graphic of the bug.